next visit of the expedition crew is to Bukhara region takes start. This time they aim to capture the Bukhara red deer, desert landscape, and to guide life in the Kyzylkum State Reserve. They are going from Tashkent to Bukhara by Afrastop train. They arrive in Bukhara in 4 hours. We arrived in Bukhara. It is the time when the Kyzylkum Desert becomes a precious oriental carpet, deserted and heated for most of the year. The desert suddenly changes after the spring rains, just as in fairy tales. Now let's get acquainted with such wonders of the Kyzylkum. Now, according to the plan, they go to Kyzylkum village in Ramitan district, where the building of the reserve is located. They ride the rest of the way by car. After traveling more than 200 kilometers, they arrive at the destination and settle in the house of the director of the reserve. First of all, they filmed this small village of Kyzylkum. In the middle of the village, if you look closely, you can see that the population is rare, but despite its small size, it has a narrow asphalt road, a cozy kindergarten, a school and 7 similar government agencies. That is why the villagers work in these organizations, along with animal husbandry and agriculture. We are now in Kyzylkum, one of the most remote villages in Uzbekistan. It's located about 300 kilometers from Bukhara. The population is also relatively sparse. This can be seen in the example of school and kindergartens. Due to the fact that the village is mainly inhabited by ethnic Kazakhs, schools teach in Kazakh as well as in Uzbek. Due to the small amount of the population, it has retained its culture and identity. The Amu Darya flows by the side. The Tugay forests on the other riverside are the territory of Turkmenistan. The reserve starts at our back. This is where we start our journey. The film crew passes through the village to the kindergarten. It was opened in September the year before and is designed for 50 children. This coming September, 12 children from the kindergarten will go to school. They leave the kindergarten and come to school. Each class of this education institution has an average of 3 or 4 students. This will definitely have a positive effect on their level of knowledge. After filming the school, they go to the hydrometeorology building next to it and talk to the experts. They built us a new building. They put a new automatic machine. We use this to forecast the weather. We observe from the booth on the ground. We found out when the wind blows, how fast it is. what the air temperature is, what the temperature of the earth is. After shooting the village, we headed with the pioneers to the desert area of the reserve. We go to the desert interior. In the desert and semi-desert region, the distribution of precipitation is highly variable across regions, and this process is independent to the direction of humid air movement. This ground, which is usually free of bright colors, is covered with grass at the same time and looks like it's celebrating a holiday. Even a person who has seen the changes here many times will be amazed by this miracle of nature. As you can see, the big woods are covered with blue-green plants. During the expedition, we will tell about the miraculous plants of this region. Along the way, we will be accompanied by well-educated scientists. The rainfall this year has been better than last year. That is why the sandy desert is like a huge oriental rock under the feet. But it won't last long. You can enjoy the beauty for only a month.
The
short life of the plants in the desert environment lasts until the end of May and completes its activity. The plants found in sandy areas here are more ephemeroids. These ephemeral plants are annuals. Ephemeral plants are perennials, and in both cases, their lifespan is short. No matter how unfavorable the desert area is for plant growth, the plant species grow there are made up representatives of different groups. These consist mainly of group of therapeutic, mesotherapeutic ephemerals, and mesotherapeutic ephemeroids. The low amount of precipitation in the Kyzylkum Desert indicates that they have a poor flora in the desert environment. Rainfall of around 200 millimeters and 300 millimeters in some years allows these plants to survive for a short time. Thus, ephemerals complete their life process completely before the onset of scorching heat. For example, tulips, Syr Darya, dandelion, and iris can be included in it. The group of ephemeroid plants such as tulips, daisies, wild onions, and yarrow, which are perennials, continue to grow until the onset of summer heat. Mesotherapeutic plants are plants that are adapted to spend their lives in an anabiotic state, in a state of forced rest, at the ardent heats of summer. The class of therapeutic plants includes plants that continue their vegetation even in hot summers, adapted to arid and hot summer conditions. Their roots are very long, the leaves are small, adapted to low evaporation of moisture if there are no leaves at all. The most common species of trees and shrubs around the Kyzylkum State Reserve are black saxawool and white saxawool. There are some species of Kyzylkum or Kandin. We can meet 6 types of bush here. In addition, we can find perennials such as camel thorn, sophora, oxton, licorice. The film crew members meet a lot of carex along the way. The root of this plant, which grows in the sandy desert of the family Cyperaceae, resembles a fig. The carex is a perennial herb, the above-ground part of which dries up in winter, and the growth woods are a type of plant that overwinters under the ground. This plant is one of the first ones in the desert to sprout, bloom and bear fruit. It's a great importance in the desert environment and is especially used as a fodder plant. Besides, it prevents the migration of dunes and circulating sands in the desert. Because now, if we see the fruit-bearing upper part at the surface of the soil, we can see the roots from a very dense duet under the soil as well. In the Kyzylkum State Reserve, supervisors have established regular collaboration with biologists. Scientists regularly come to compile a list of plants in the desert area, various species, to study their characteristics. Agreements have been signed between Kyzylkum State Reserve and Bukhara State University. Masters, postgraduate and doctoral students conduct their research at the Kyzylkum Nature Reserve. During the daytime, scientists from the Institute of Botany also come. Besides, professors and scientists from Russia also have conducted scientific research on Tugay plants along the Amu Darya. There are young scientists among the companions. They are collecting herbarium of desert plants. In the process, of course, they test their theoretical knowledge in practice. Together with my mentor, Syr Darya, we will study the plants in the Kyzylkum Nature Reserve until the autumn, collect herbarium and take them to our laboratory. So far, we have prepared herbariums from a number of tulips, Eremeris, Sistanche plant and many other medicinal plants. Along the way, they continue the conversation with their companions on desert plants, asking them questions about their differences, useful properties and their importance for ecology and environment. Onions are one of the most common species in Central Asia, especially in the Kyzylkum Mountains or other mountainous areas. Three types are especially common in desert environments. In scientific terms, we call Allium sabulosa, Allium bolshowi, Allium caspicum. Allium bolshowi and Allium sabulosa are very widespread. We can meet them a lot. The onion you are holding in your hand right now is called Allium caspicum. Although this plant is found in sandy areas, it's not a very common species. Because when I conducted expeditions and research in many areas of Bukhara region, I witnessed that they meet in certain areas and from certain populations in that area. This type of Allium caspicum is found in the reserve area, forming several populations. The soil of the reserve area is almost the same. It consists of mobile sands and rainforest sand soils. But these onions are met in a certain area, in a certain population, It does not spread equally, occupying the real of a certain area. It is found only in those places. It's of course related to the ecological environment. You will be amazed to see the plants here. One is medicinal, the other is adapted to natural conditions, and the other is unusual in appearance. In short, nature is rich in mystery, diversity, and beauty. As you study them, you will become convinced that nature is a great healer. Every plant has a cure for some reason. In the course of our scientific work, we are studying a plant species called Sistanche. which is an endemic species around in this area. Sistanche is a medicinal, very valuable plant distributed only in certain regions of the world. Now, here during the ephemeral period, the plants sprout, bloom, bear fruit for a month, and the seeds fall back to the ground. Do plants have time for all of this? The spring has been good for the plants. Due to the high rainfall, ephemeral plants flourished and grew during this period, producing seeds and fruits and completing their growing season. Due to this, the seeds spread around. So the plants are adapted to this period of time? Of course, plants have adapted to these conditions over the years in the evolutionary process in desert conditions. If there is not enough water or conditions for the plant to grow next year, can the plant retain its seeds? Yes, this plant has such an adaptation that it has the ability to store the seeds for many years. Plants vary in cross-section. In particular, we can see the saxaul. The seed retains its germination for up to 100 years. For nearly 2,000 years, the Chinese have been using the Sistanche as a tonic, rejuvenating, mental health enhancing plant. Sistanche herb improves the adrenal glands, protects the organs from the effects of oxidation. The plant contains antioxidants and normalizes blood circulation. This plant has not been studied in Uzbekistan, especially in Bukhara. Therefore, we study its biological properties, growing conditions, and by observing its chemical composition and chemical analysis, we have determined that it's a very unique plant for the pharmaceutical industry. So, can we meet them on our road now? Yes, this is an endemic species for our region. It's found here. 27 species of this plant have been identified on the earth. Currently, 4 species grow in Bukhara. When we worked with the staff of the Tashkent Pharmaceutical Institute to conduct chemical analysis, the chemical analysis revealed the element zinc in the plant. The zinc has been found to have the property of strengthening the human body and the human immune system.
Kyzylkumdagi hayvonlar faolligining
The highest level of animal activity in the Kyzylkum depends on the rhythm of development of the plant world. The proliferation and spread of animals out of the ground occurs in the spring and early summer. During this period, the plants also grow and propagate continuously. Now we are looking for such unique animals along the road in the desert. Look, a desert tortoise has appeared in front of us. This creature lives an active life during the day. Its nest is 1 or 2 meters long. From April to June, it lays 2 or 6 eggs 2 or 3 times a day. Even now, these tortoises are on the verge of laying eggs. After 110 days, the tortoises hatched from the eggs remain under the soil for the winter. It only comes to the surface in the spring of next year. In the 10th year of its life, it reaches sexual maturity. It feeds on ephemeral plants, perennial grasses and shrubs. It goes into hibernation when summer comes. Yes, it does. It goes to hibernate in the summer and wakes up in the fall. Waking up in the fall, it feeds again. In some cases, it can go into winter hibernation without waking up in the fall and wake up in the spring of the next year. And now, how old is it? How can we determine it? Counting the number of rings. You can find out its age by the number of rings. But it looks old enough. Yes, it's characterized by drowsiness. It spends an average of 9 months of sleep a year. The reason is that in spring they feed, and once the food plants start to dry out, they go into summer hibernation. In autumn, when the plants wake up, they feed for a short time and go into winter hibernation. This Central Asian desert tortoise was previously considered an ordinary species. and it was included in the newly published Red Data Book of the Republic of Uzbekistan in 2019 after many human extinctions. Currently, wild hunting is prohibited in all parts of Uzbekistan. There are such plants in the desert that when you look at them separately, you think they are a single plant because of their similarity in appearance. Even when some of them stand side by side, it's hard to separate them. Take for example Kyzylkum and ephedra, which they originally think is a single plant.
It
is called Ephedra stibulaceae. This is the open-seeded plant representative, this indoor-seeded or ephemeral plant. It begins to bloom in early spring. When blossoms, it forms a flower and produces fruit. This is open-seeded representative. That is why it does not have flowers. They do not form their flowers, but they have pétale and stamens. They are similar in appearance from a distance, but if we pay attention to the morphological features of the stems, we can see the difference in the color of the branch, in trunk branching, and in the hardness or softness of the branch. Horizon information. Kyzylkum is a slightly elbow-branched shrub, 50-100 centimeters tall. The flowers are pale pink. When the petal bears fruit, it bends downwards. Fruits are round ovate and reddish, 25-30 mm long, 20-25 mm wide. It blossoms in April-May and bears fruit in May and June. Kyzylkum is very common, especially in the desert environments of Central Asia. In mountainous areas, species of Kyzylkum are not found. But this ephedra is also very common in mountainous areas. The root of a Kyzylkum can reach 1.5 and 2 meters deep, but it reaches up to 20 meters wide. Such 20-meter wide lateral root keeps the mobile scents from flying and drifting. For instance, the root of a saxaul goes 25-30 meters deep, and Kyzylkum roots reach 15-20 meters wide. Its roots does not go so deep because it ensures that the soil goes not drift. When the rain comes, the root absorbs water. The longer the roots go to the side, the better and water absorbs. It uses the very water. Saxaul has the opposite feature. Its roots go deep into the soil and waters from the underground waters. That is why saxaul can grow in any condition.
Saksavulni teskari oladi. Saksavul chuqurga qarab ketadi. Chuqurini yer osti suvlaridan oladi saksavul. Shuning uchun har qanday sharoitda saksavul o'sa oladi.
Now a few words about saxaul. The green twigs of the saxaul serve to collect organic elements. Most of the annual young twigs shed in the fall, especially with the onset of fall, while a small portion is preserved by turning into wood. At that moment, they see something strange in such a saxaphone tree. If they take a closer look, it's a deep antler. At the same time, on the eve of throwing steaming horns, now they go out into the desert to feed because of the presence of ephemerals in the desert. This is why deer often throw horns in the desert. How old can it be? This is a male deer antler and about 4 or 5 years old. Males have antlers, females don't. The males have a single horn in the year of its first release, and then year by year it will grow larger. It will be even bigger in adulthood. Every year in early spring, in April, they drop their horns. Then it grows again. There is only one dropped antler, the second must be somewhere else. Does it drop both antlers in one place? It can throw both in one place or drop another one in a day or two. Now one has fallen here. I think it fell when the deer rushed into saxaul. This is point where it removes. Still the crew members encounter a tortoise, and now they have found a deer antler. After that, their interest increases even more. They begin to observe the surroundings, the plants. Someone is in a group or someone else is doing their job individually. The cameraman follows the glamorous view of the desert landscape. In sandy deserts, 80–90% of the soil composition is sand, which is well permeable to water. Therefore, in summer in this area, the surface part of the soil dries up to 50 centimeters, and the moisture is kept in the layer 60 and 120 centimeters below. This creates favorable conditions for the growth of plants even in nutrient-poor sandy soils and leads to their diversity. Plants adapted to grow on a sandy substrate are called psaumaphites. In sandy soils, sand locust is found. Their work in the desert is also over, and now they go back. But one of the partners is gone. Hey, where is Shahbaz? Who saw him? Shahbaz? If he gets lost in the desert, how can we find him? Oh, good, that is great shot. Now our director will be glad. He would be glad. But still, where is he? Or have they gone to the other side? Let's take it. Where should I go? They call him out loud. Later, realizing that it would not work, they try to find him by drone. It's also hard to find by drone. They need to find him as soon as possible. Otherwise, the desert will be very dangerous at night. On the one hand, it gets cold. On the other, all the animals, both herbivores and predators, begin moving. At night, spiders, phalanxes, scorpions, and snakes leave their mark on the sands. The sun is there. Where should I go? Rasulaka. Or should I go there? Wait, calm down. Everything is okay. If it is the east, this side is west. They search for their colleague in the drone a lot. So far, they have observed the desert from the ground, but from above it's more beautiful, right? At last they see someone in motion on this precious oriental rock. They get closer with the drone. Fortunately, it's him. He comes running as he has seen the drone himself. When he arrives, he gets his portion of abuse. I'm sorry, very sorry. I found black snake's nest, then I left watching. You shouldn't have walked in the desert alone. What would we do if we lost? You should have moved to the drone direction. Didn't you see the drone? I didn't notice. You shouldn't have walked alone in the desert. Don't be separate from the majority. I'm sorry. Now they are all back to the shelter. The next day they will go to the Tugay forest part of the reserve. We have to stop our program just here for now, and we will continue the topic in the next episode of the program.